Single parenting isn't easy. We understand. Most parents don't plan to go it alone, but you can still make the most of this journey for your children and yourself. In fact, if you and your family are on that journey, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Single Parent Advocate community and to our podcast. And here are your hosts, Single Parent founder Stacy Poitras, broadcast journalist, single dad and friend, Daryl Moody.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the Single Parent Podcast. I am your host, Daryl Moody. We're joined again by the Single Parent Advocate herself, Stacy Poitras. Stacy, thanks again.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. We're glad to see you back.
So last week we had a guest and we were very focused on our conversation with her. We really didn't get to talk about Single Parent Day, the significance of the day and some of the things that you got into, Stacy. So talk to us about what you were able to do with Single Parent Advocate and your volunteers. I know you guys had a very special day.
We really did. So National Single Parent Day this year landed on our 11th anniversary, but we did not get to have our 10th anniversary because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So we turned it was a volunteer appreciation celebration and 10th anniversary party. So we served all of our volunteers who were, felt safe, to come out. And we served them food and we had a toast. And I talked about, what Single Parent Advocate has done over the last year, which through COVID involved a lot of kind of pivoting, if you will. And I know that word is like way overused, but what we had to do is we had to take our normal outreaches, which are at Mother's Day, Father's Day, back to school, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and turn them into either virtual or hybrids. And so we ended up having like a Mother's Day parade where single moms and their kids would come through with decorated cars. Okay. And we would fill them full of food and flowers and just everything we could do to, make the day great. We did the same things for our single dads at Father's Day. Although the dads weren't really into the parade factor. There wasn't much of a parade going on.
Nobody decorating their cars, that sort of thing?
No. It was a very, very noticeable difference. But there were a lot of dads wanting to hop out of the car and say thank you and talk about how, dads don't really get this kind of support, and they were very grateful. So that was really, really cool. And then we did a back to school event that we had a big giant drive through with part of one of the area churches. And then we also did Thanksgiving food and Christmas outreach with turkeys and gift cards. And we did a video, where Santa came and told stories and everything at the end of the year. So I told everybody about that. And then we had what's really turned out to be something everybody loved, which was a vision board. And I've never been much of a vision board person. I think I shared with you, but I really loved Sarah Schroeder, who came to speak. She really made it tangible for us. And so we got these poster boards and pictures from magazines and memes and things that we all, want to do with our lives. And we put them on the board. And it's supposed to be, one of the things that she said was, a vision board isn't something that you create for the sake of creating. A vision board is something you spill out of your heart, of things you want, you desire, and you're really trying to work toward, whether it's financial freedom, going on a big vacation, happiness in your home. I had, dance. I love to dance and sing. So I had that on there. And it was a really great day. Everybody walked away with recognition for what they had given and some gift certificates. And
I saw the Facebook video. You guys had quite a nice little setup there. It was nice event space you had there too.
Yeah. So we met I live in Texas, as everybody knows, I hope. If you don't, I live in Texas. I live in North Texas, and particularly that place is the Louisville Area Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. And we've been a member of that organization for about 3 or 4 years, and they really do get behind Single Parent Advocate and the work that we do locally and nationally. So they were in force. They made it possible. They were really, really grateful for them.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you talk about folks coming out for COVID, have you had, a significant drop off in involvement with your volunteers and folks kind of getting involved in these things? Like, how's COVID affected your operation there, Single Parent Advocate?
I would say for sure it's affected both. But we came out of the gate strong with 2 new programs that are virtual. One is called SPAEDU, which is online Zoom training. We bring in professional, coaches, speakers, authors, financial specialists, and educators. And they, for free, come and spend 2 hours on a Saturday morning with anybody who wants to listen in. And this could include our teenagers and our kiddos, as well as our parents. And that's been a really great way to make it possible to be together from home. And then the other thing we launched is, of course, the podcast, where we can now, engage people and be more, coming to them on their terms. But as far as our Safe Social program, it definitely was hard. So what we did, Daryl, is we did a deal where we did a survey. We surveyed all of the families that we support. We asked them, are you affected by COVID? Whether it's your job, your work-life balance, craziness in the house, behavioral, whatever. And we focused on those families who responded. And so
which really would have been everybody, right?
Well, it is everybody, but not everybody is requesting additional support. So we really just focused wholly on the families saying, I'm affected by COVID and I need support. And so because that ended up being a tighter group, like I'm saying 100 families versus 500, it was more right-sized for the volunteerism effort that we could get going versus trying to do all of the families. And so, that was a real hard thing, because we want to see everybody.
Well, and to your point, having to do things virtually now via Zoom conferences or Microsoft Teams, whatever platform you're on, it does at least make it available to more people because, in many cases, it's a lot easier to log onto your computer and to watch a presentation live on your computer screen than it is to go to wherever that event is and make the arrangements to get there and block the time and that sort of thing. So, at least with the folks that I talk to in my line of work, being a reporter, particularly with cities and counties and municipalities, taking public meetings and making them virtual, they are in a sense getting more engagement just because it's easier for people to do that. So hopefully you've been able to see that with your clients, so to speak.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have had a mix. Some people like to be online. Some people like to do the drive-through. Some people are open to social distancing. So it's still the same number of people, but now they're in these little pockets. Yep. But it's still good. We have a new SPAEDU program that we announced at National Single Parent Day. It's going to be on April 24th on Zoom from 10 to noon, and we're going to be focusing on finances. And so
Awesome.
We're super excited. Dr. Purge and her team are going to be talking. We have BBVA making an appearance, and we're going to be digging in and talking about how to come out of this a little stronger with a little more tools in our heads. And hopefully I'll be able to bring one of them on the podcast too.
That would be awesome. We'd love to have them. So for folks who want to connect with that, Stacy, where can they find the link to the Zoom meeting, the details of the where and when, that sort of thing?
So what we're going to be doing is we'll be putting that up on our Facebook page. And I also have a meetup in Dallas. We have about 500 or 600 single families in our meetup. But I would say for this group at large, just go to Single Parent Advocates Facebook page. You will get a link where you'll be able to register to attend in our Eventbrite program.
And you guys are really good. I've started following you on Facebook, and you guys post stuff all the time. It's really, it's amazing how social media, and particularly Facebook. I mean, a lot of the millennials and Gen Zers say that, Facebook is for the old people, but I've seen a lot of agencies and organizations taking social media and using that to disseminate information. And in the case of Single Parent Advocate, I'm sure it's a tremendous tool for you.
Yeah, I prefer, and I'm Gen, I'm Gen X. Yeah. So I'm an oldie but goodie Gen
Right.
Xer. But so I try to make sure the events are accessible across all channels. But we really have a lady named Susan Hummel who's been with the organization for a long time, and she is the lady who helps me with all of the posting of our single parent advocate messages. And she is so authentic, and it's not like she uploads everything to a tool and then distributes it out across all the channels. She's actually taking things that resonate with her personal heart, just like we do here on the podcast, and she shares them out. And so Facebook is really where she thrives. And then I have a new announcement to make. I am dialing in my intern Felicity, and she is working with me to make some posts that go across Instagram, Twitter, and other channels. So I'm going to get some support to make sure we're represented everywhere else soon.
Awesome. Yep. So a little bit of personal news myself. This is a big weekend in my house. My birthday is on Sunday. I'll be turning 42. And I'm really excited because I get to spend some quality time with my younger sister and her kids tonight. And then on Sunday, I'll get to spend some time with my older sister and her husband. They don't have any kids, but so just to tell you a little bit about our plans, I live in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to go to an NBA game. We're going to watch the Orlando Magic play the Portland Trailblazers. So, and it's funny the way we bought the tickets, because we've got 8 of us all together, me and my 2 kids and my mom, and then my sister and her 2 kids, and then her son is bringing another friend. So there's gonna be 8 of us total. The way the NBA is doing it with social distancing and everything, especially up there in the rafters where we bought our tickets and cheap seats, you have to buy them in clusters of 4, but we were able to get 2 clusters of 4 in the same row. So we'll basically have that row for ourselves. But I'm really excited because as an adult and as a single parent, having your family around you is really important, and it's important for me. And particular, my younger sister and I, we weren't really close coming out of high school and going into college, and as young adults, we've gotten a lot closer since I started having my kids. But I just want to talk to you about that. Spend some time talking about how important it is as a single parent to rally around your family. I know for my younger sister, she's also divorced. So we're both single parents. We're kind of in that boat together. But talk to me about how important that is, that support structure, in particular, your family.
Well, I always like to just talk about, things from my personal experience, because everybody's experience is so different, but my personal experience about, being around my family is, kind of like what you're saying. They really made a huge difference. But in my life, it was often, over the phone. Like my mom died when I was younger. I was your age. You're turning 32, right?
42.
42. Okay.
I wish. I'd take 32 again in a heartbeat.
Okay, just didn't want to rub your nose in that one. But anyway, so I had, my mom died. She never even made it to 50. And but my dad remarried, and I have a wonderful stepmom. She's been my stepmom. So they moved away. They lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area like I do, and they moved away to Arizona for business purposes. And so our relationship was largely over the phone. unless it was a holiday. And then I was expected to load me and my son up in the car and drive for 16 to 20 hours to Arizona and come see them, and the thought
a lot of I-10 on that drive, right?
Oh my gosh, it was nuts. And then, you're alone. There's nobody to share the driving duties with, right? And Dad's like, oh, you can just drive straight through. And I'd be like, are you going to be sitting on the phone with me, while
keeping you awake?
Oh, you just need to get up at 4 a.m. You'll be here by midnight. It'll be fine. Oh my gosh, through West Texas. And there's nothing out there, by the way. Don't let anybody tell you there's something out there, and it stinks. And oh my God. Okay, so we had this mostly phone relationship. So I would call every week. Every Sunday's my day to call the family. And even now, even though Chris has grown and I, Dad's gone to heaven, I call my brother and my stepmom every weekend. And that tradition began when I was raising my son alone and they moved away. And it is like oxygen. It is so helpful. Now, I have met some other single parents who have family relations that are very tense, very stressed, that they don't find refuge in. And so for situations like that, we never want to cast judgment because, we want to make sure everybody's always got a heart open to healing and forgiveness and positivity. That set aside, you always have a family of friends. Like, because my family lived so far away, I would, my neighbors were incredible. I hung out with my neighbors all the time, and so did my son. Sometimes they'd pick him up from daycare for me, and we'd go and have meals where we'd all bring potluck and laugh until we just couldn't stay awake anymore. And that happened every weekend too. So, and then I had my church family, which I've mentioned before, and we had this group of co-ed single parents. And so I made sure that my life was filled with every kind of family I could have around me. And I didn't just try to take, I tried to give back to them light and love and gratitude and positivity.
That's just relationship management 101 there for sure. It's funny, you talk about having a closer phone relationship with your relatives. My older sister, who we're going to see on Sunday, I talk to her almost every day, but she is, close to 60, if not over it. She has rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, and some other underlying health conditions. So she doesn't have the, freedom that she once did. So we don't get to spend as much time with her, but I talk to her all the time. And it's, my older sister has kind of become the person that I call with my good news and the person that I call when I'm frustrated with something else that's gone on. But yeah, family, when you're doing the single parenting thing, and you don't have a spouse and you don't have that partner, so to speak, your family can certainly give you what you need there.
Well, I think too, one of the things that I remember is, I considered it very difficult to let somebody close to me while I didn't have all of my plates spinning, my family, I considered them, my safe circle, like where I could just not be perfect and still be loved, or probably be coached up a little bit by my dad. He was a real go-getter, self-made man, had a great business. And, there's got to be a person, a group of people, a family member or a few where when you get in their presence or when they get in your presence, you can let down a little bit. You can exhale, you feel safe, you feel like there's some answers, I remember
you don't have to be the parent when you're with those people. That's what makes them so important, is that you get to take your dad or your mom hat off, and you get to be Stacy. I get to be Daryl, and it's so refreshing.
Yep, it is, especially if you're raising your children on your own without, the other parent around. And a lot of people are doing that. There's some folks that, the co-parent is not present, for a number of reasons. And so, we talked about this one time too, who is your neutral place? Where's your neutral safe place? Neutral safe place for you, not only your kids. We talked about neutral male role models and neutral female role models for the kids. And we need to build that into our lives for ourselves too. Sometimes it's our besties, but there's not a way to replace a blood relationship if that's something you have access to, that's healthy, that supports you. I did this bookmark one time, Daryl, and it's the SUCCESS acronym. And I talk about in there, one of the S's is, surrounding yourself with people who are friendly and fun and, really fans of yourself, and, that build you up, that don't tear you down, and that help you learn and help you grow and, really make your blood flow, right?
Oh, and single parenting is so difficult. Like, you just need that positive energy. You just, it kind of recharges your batteries, so to speak, but yeah, you definitely need it.
Yeah. So, family members are hopefully in more people's lives than not really great. I've met some families that they've had to make their own family because that situation wasn't so healthy. So whatever your family looks like, have one for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a sibling. It can be a close friend. It can be a mentor at work. It can be anything. Sure.
Have one and be one. Yep.
Absolutely. Well,
no doubt.
Giving back. That's what we all want to do, right? I mean, you take a little bit and you give some back, right?
Yep. You just got to be able to let the walls down a little bit and let somebody close.
Sure. And speaking of giving back, I want to circle back and talk about our guest from last week, Noelle Federico, the single working mom. We really didn't get to talk after the show about some of the things that she shared with us, and you've got some thoughts on some of the things that she touched on. What really spoke to you?
Well, what I bumped into in my own life this week, I'm coming off of National Single Parent Day and, kind of being really busy. I found myself really reliving that exhaustion, and, what Noelle said about bouncing back from broken and how we need to have routines in our lives that breed healing, breed blood flow, breed light and life. And so even though I was in the process of hitting sort of a wall this week, I made sure to, say my gratitudes. I've made sure to go out on a few walks. I've made sure to get 8 hours of sleep. I've made sure to, what else did she say? She talked about mental wellness and making sure, that we're focused on our thoughts, and making sure that we're saying things that are affirming to ourselves. And her conversation has actually changed my week, because it reminded me of these things that we need to do for ourselves and also model for our kids so they can do it for themselves. Remember what she said about her son, now that he's an adult and he's watched her with all of these self-care routines that she does, whether it's her yoga or her gratitudes or her, self-care of any kind. He's watched her do that. And now, he's asking her, okay, what was it again? What is this thing I do? And kind of cross the boundaries of mother and son to now they're both adults, and he's a man and she's a woman, and it's equal value, both of them.
Yeah, that is an interesting transition to make as a kid and as an adult growing up, when you cross that threshold where it's no longer the subordinate, and authoritative relationship. It just becomes much more peer based. And if you have a good foundation, you'll find that you're actually pretty good friends with your parents.
Yeah, and during the time that we had with her, I remember I asked her about, making that change in my own life. I had a really hard time, letting go of my son.
Sure.
And he's like, Mom, I gotta go. I'm gonna grow up now, and it just seemed too early. It seemed too soon. It seemed like, crazy to
Well,
me.
in my own counseling, my therapist uses the phrase attachment figure. Perhaps he became an attachment figure for you.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah, definitely. I love that kid. And when he left, it was gut wrenching. But what Noelle said, about staying, open and welcoming a new kind of relationship and letting go of control was what
Well,
she said.
and one of the things that she touched on that really made a lot of sense to me is the importance of creating a routine.
Yep.
And you're talking about following that routine this week, and making time to do the things that restorative practices is what I wrote down here and put parentheses around it. Restorative practices, really, really important to focus on.
Absolutely. And then one of my favorite things that she talked about really related to her, you know, she said like 12 years of giving back. This has been her give back for 12 years. And, I've always thought about, when we volunteer, whether it's a soup kitchen, whether it's at your church, whether it's your children's school, whatever the opportunity is that you can weave into your life, giving back is also something that can be really restorative. You find purpose, right? And that's where I found myself, when my son was leaving, he had been my purpose. Um, and I've always had, a purpose in serving fellow single families, but it was a whole new level of, oh, what now? So,
Well, and to your point, I think there's something distracting, I'll say, about focusing on someone else's problems as opposed to focusing on yours. It's always easier to solve someone else's problem than it is your own.
Your own. Yeah. Or so you think, definitely might be making them, be a little uncomfortable being hyper focused, but for sure, absolutely. But I've been able to really digest what she said about, letting go of control, getting back into my own restorative practices, making sure that I have my cause and my give back, and I'm focusing on me and my business and the things on my side of the fence, and being welcoming. He lives in Hawaii now, and him and his wife, and they're working hard to build a life together, and they're very happy. So it's all good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So just want to wrap up for the week. Let's talk about your event again on April 24th. This is, you've got a financial presentation of sorts. Talk to me again about what you have planned.
So Dr. Purge and team is going to be partnering with BBVA, and we're going to be digging into financial budgeting, all kinds of resources. And we want families to know when they hop on Zoom with us, it's a safe place. It's not something that's being streamed. These are professional speakers, professional, educators. And we really want to make sure that people know that when they participate in an SPA EDU program on Zoom, it's going to be consistent. It's going to be Saturday, 10 to noon, and it's going to be on April 24th. And we'll be able to sign up on Eventbrite, but it's not going to be marketed or anything like that. We're going to be able to ask questions and receive answers.
So the best way to find out about it is to follow Single Parent Advocate on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah. We'll be posting the registration link this week.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, we thank you for joining us as always. You can follow Stacy's efforts at singleparentadvocate.org. And we hope you join us again next week.
And happy birthday, Daryl!
Thanks.